This week we've been going over beef, and so today I'd like to show you how to make the perfect steak. All you'll need is this lab kit that I made for you, and it has steak, rosemary, salt and pepper, Worcestershire sauce, and garlic.
So you guys are going to go ahead and cook steaks this week. Some of you, this will be your very first steak. Now, if you look at the meat, you may notice that some of the meat is a dark red and some of the meat is pink. Why is that? Is some of the meat bad? No. So remember, we talked about myoglobin, which is oxygen exposure to the muscles. And muscles like this that are dark red have more exposure to the myoglobin. You can also see the really nice marbling inside. All of the pieces have good marbling, so this is probably choice meat. Not prime though, because prime is the best. Now, remember, the muscles that are light pink have less oxygen exposure, so this likely came from the loin. The muscles that are dark red have more oxygen exposure, which also means they have more flavor, but they are more tough than the pink muscles. All right, so here's your steaks. Since we only have 40 minutes for the lab, you don't have time to season this yourself. So first thing I'm going to do is add some Worcestershire sauce to every steak. I don't really want to touch the meat and melt the fat with my hands, so I'm just going to make sure that this Worcestershire sauce is evenly spread by using a silicone brush. Now remember, when you cook the steaks, they'll lose 30% of their seasoning, so we want to generously spread salt and pepper all over the steaks, both sides. Then we're going to do the same thing with the pepper and make sure you get both sides. I find it easier to just take the seasoning in your hand, run it between your fingers, and that makes it spread a lot more evenly. Don't forget to salt and pepper the other side, but since I know you guys are going to be cooking this in a pan, I'm going to add a little bit of liquid smoke for you to get that barbecue flavor. You want to dilute the liquid smoke with water, and then you can either spray it on or paint it on. Now just make sure to salt and pepper the other side as well. Now remember that salt draws moisture out, so you want to salt your steaks right before you cook them. That way you won't dry them out. All right, so we're going to heat up some oil. I prefer butter, garlic, and rosemary in a pan. Once the garlic is fragrant, we're going to add in the steaks. All right, so go ahead and use tongs to put your meat on the pan and make sure to lay it away from you so the oil doesn't splash and get you. Also, if your steak is broken into more than one piece, make sure there's spaces between them. Don't overcrowd your pan or you won't get the nice crust on the outside. Make sure to scoop some of that butter out and pour it back on the steaks as they cook. This is called basting. Cook the steak for about 3 minutes on each side for medium. All right, now we're going to let the meat rest. We don't want to cut into it right away because we need the meat to relax and the juices to go back and distribute evenly throughout itself. So we'll let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then you can cut into it and try a sample. All right, let's go ahead and cut into our steak. And as you can see, it is medium
lightly pink inside. Now I've got these vacuum seal bags, and I'm taking your steaks and I'm putting them in the bag here. All right, then we take the bag and we put it in our vacuum seal machine. I'm gonna put it in just like this. And tuck the edges down here and then close it. And now it's vacuum sealed. The reason that I'm vacuum sealing your steaks is so that they'll stay good, since you won't be picking them up for a couple days. So just keep in mind, if you get a lighter colored meat, it's going to be a lot more tender. And if you get a darker colored meat, it's going to have a lot more flavor.